Hello, ladies and gentlemen. MarauderEX here with a first look. Something I don't do often, but I felt that I really kind of needed to do this one because this is different. This is a game from Square-Enix and Tokyo RPG Factory called I Am Setsuna. And this game is just a love letter to Chrono Trigger. It just came out on PS4 and Steam, and it's different. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the game. I have not played very far into the game, just far enough to where I know that I'm going to enjoy it, and that I've enjoyed what I've played. So, but I don't feel that I've played enough to give it a full review because I'm nowhere near done with it. So, and I don't want to judge a game based off of it being done or how far I've gotten into it. I just want to kind of give my first impressions of this, which so far have been exceptionally positive. So, we'll start a new game. New game will be started. Is this okay? Yes, this is okay. Do you want to turn the in-game... no, we'll leave the in-game voices off for now, just for this so that I'm not talking over the voice acting. Which, the voice acting, not terrible. Not really badly done. A lot of people hate voice acting in a lot of games, depending on how it's done. This one, not so much. Alright, so I also don't want to talk too much about the story. Not the story specifics, because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But the gist of it is, we are a mercenary, and we have a job to do. So, in the tutorial, we're going to go do our job, and we've been paired with an older mercenary who's, you know, our assistants on this. But he's only in an advisory position. So, speaking of the story, one of the biggest complaints that people have said about this game is it only takes about 20 hours to beat. Which, I know a lot of people are really grumpy about that because they feel for $40 that that's not a lot. The way I look at it, if you're doing a dollar per hour form of entertainment, it's $2 an hour for your entertainment. So as long as you're enjoying the gameplay, $2 an hour is really not that bad. Especially compared to something like a movie that's going to be 2.5 hours, and the ticket's going to be anywhere between $8 and $12, depending on where you're going. Like, that's expensive. So it's not really not that bad compared to other forms of entertainment. It boils down to whether or not you enjoy it. So, and a lot of people are like, oh, 20 hours, that's really short. Even if I do enjoy the game, it's too short for $40. Well, looking at, there's a website called How Long to Beat, and it gives you rough estimates based off of users' experiences on how long to beat games. And Chrono Trigger, the game that this is the kind of, you know, homage to, its main story takes on average 23 hours. Main story plus extra content is 26.5. A completionist record or completionist average is 45.5. So if you're doing the main story and the extra content, the side quests, 26 hours. So it's only 6 hours short, 6.5 hours shorter. So that's not really that bad. And Chrono Trigger, when it came out, was, you know, $80 in 90s money, which would be well over $100 today. So, the way I see it, so far, I've enjoyed what I've played of it, and I feel that what I have played is well worth what I've spent on it. So, you know, and How Long to Beat is kind of, it shouldn't be taken as an absolute, but I've played Chrono Trigger multiple times, and we live streamed that for charity in 13.5 hours. I mean, so I've played it before, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, but still, that's 13.5, and I would never say Chrono Trigger is too short. So, and one of the reasons why the completionist would be so high is because you have, you know, multiple endings to deal with. But one of the things I want to talk about in this is the mechanics, since we're starting to get into combat. So you have encounters that you see on the field map, because you've got the field map and then you've got the world map. So just like Chrono Trigger, if you see something on the field you can get into a fight with it, typically by running up to it. But in this game, they make use of positioning. So if you can sneak up behind an enemy and attack it from behind, you start the battle with full initiative. But if it catches you, you don't, and it functions very similar to how things did function in Chrono Trigger, but it's fully explained here. So, and then there are a couple other mechanics that will pop up that we'll talk about. Specifically things like double and triple techs and special abilities and things like that. So, but the base combat is ATB system, and you see all of the enemies in front of you, so you can kind of control a little bit of the flow of battle, which I find impressive. One thing that we're not hearing much of, because there's not really much of a soundtrack for this area, but we hear it in battle, is the OST itself is all piano. It's all done on piano. So imagine taking the Chrono Trigger soundtrack and buying the piano track version of the soundtrack. Typically the piano arrangements don't have the full soundtrack because you don't want to do all of them in piano, but this one is all piano. And I think it's an interesting design choice because I don't really like piano only. I like typically full orchestra soundtracks, but everything that I've heard from this so far gives me a very, very strong Chrono Trigger nostalgia feeling. The world map feeling, even just in piano, reminds me of the first time I heard, some of the world map themes in Chrono Trigger, and just kind of sitting there for a minute listening to it. So one of the things that I skipped over just now is the skill system. So the Spiritine is your skill. So as you can see here, we're getting ready to equip Cyclone onto Ender, our main character. And you can see down in the bottom right corner for combos, it will partner and create X-Strike or Grand Cross, depending on if we have other people in the party that have Spiritine that will combo with it. So very much like the double and triple tech system in Chrono Trigger, it has been brought back. So, but it's also equipable. So I don't know. I don't know what changes could be made for that, because that's in Chrono Trigger you learn very specific skills, and then those skills paired up with different characters. But this, it's equip. So it kind of gives it a different feeling to it, but it's different, and I've been enjoying it. But however, much like Chrono Trigger, the enemies are based off of their location, and so being this far away, I can't attack with Cyclone and have it hit because they're too far away. So I'm just going to have to kill one of them. Thank you for running to the opposite end of the field. That's just wonderful, you angry little penguin. But listen for a second for the battle theme while I finish dealing with the penguin. So it's interesting. There's more to it than just piano, but it's piano focused. So it's so unique. It's something that you never really thought about before as being a design choice. And then we have, much like old school RPGs, we have save points. I really cannot remember the last time, save point was a major thing in an RPG. It's like, oh, this is different. So I see all of the very subtle nods to Chrono Trigger. but then there's a lot of design choices that are its own game. So as you can see, everything's very snowy, very icy. This is the only style locale that the game takes place in. Everything takes place in this winter wonderland. This world is very cold, it's very dark, and it gives a very unique sense of atmosphere. And as we sit here and wait, little things happen, like you can see our trail is being covered up by more snow, so we have to walk more. Also, it's kind of hard to explain, but walking in a path made from the snow, the controller feels like it's giving a little bit of less resistance. Like, it's easier to walk on the path, but when you walk in the snow, you can kind of feel the weight on the character, which is just... It's a small design choice, but it's an impressive design choice, because it shows just how much they were focused on being committed to the art style of this particular world. So, I'm going to end it here after the boss fight, because like I said, I don't want to give away too much of the story, especially since this is all the tutorial, and after the tutorial is when the story really kind of kicks up with just a couple of sentences. A lot of people see it as cliche, built on cliches, but you know, cliches can be kind of welcoming and kind of warming. It's familiar territory. It doesn't have to be, you know, a brand new story, because having a brand new story in this day and age is exceptionally difficult, given we are in the age of remakes. But it's taking the battle mechanics of Chrono Trigger, it's improving them, because this tutorial here is showing us about momentum mode, something that I have been kind of using in the previous fights that we've dealt with, but have not explained because we have the demo here. But you have a little snowflake icon at the end of your ATB gauge that fills up as your ATB gauge is full. So the longer you go without taking an action, it will build up this momentum gauge. And the momentum gauge can store up to 3 charges, and those charges can be used by pressing square by attacking or using special abilities. So, like, if you're healing, it will heal more using momentum. If you're attacking, it will do more damage when using momentum, and it'll show added physical damage. But it also has the ability to add in things like status effects. If you have certain weapons or equipment that will add in that have the potential to use status effects, it will make those status effects proc more often. It's a very unique addition that kind of adds a timed hit style feeling, something like out of Mario RPG, but with a slight more tactical edge, because now you have to budget your time. Do I want to sit here and wait for my momentum gauge to fill up? Do I want to take advantage of a character's ATB gauge and just attack faster? Do I need a slight bit more healing? And it adds a unique tactical element to the already familiar ATB gauge that we've seen in Chrono Trigger. So I'm really, really impressed on just the mechanic level of the game. Like I said, I haven't seen enough of the story to know whether or not to say, hey, this game is just a complete waste of time, it's garbage, or that it is, even at what people are saying at 20 hours, is probably one of the best 20 hours of gameplay that I've spent in terms of story and character development. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't say. But I can say, just from a mechanic perspective, looking at the art style of the game, it's just enough to draw me in. The mechanics of combat are familiar enough to me to where I can just pick it up and go, but the new additions to it add a new level of strategy that I'm not 100% familiar with, so I really enjoy taking time to learn how the new techniques work, how the momentum works, and wanting to maximize those abilities to their fullest. So I can say, from what I've played on this, I have enjoyed what I've played. I feel that it is worth the money I've spent. I do not regret spending the money on it. I've not even come halfway close to beating the game. So, but that's my opinion. that's me. You all may have gotten much farther in the game than I have, and decided that it wasn't worth, you know, continuing, or that you feel that maybe it was a little more expensive than what you felt that you got out of it. I understand. It's going to be different for each person. It all boils down to what you feel your enjoyment per cost per hour is. So that's going to boil down to each person's individual perspective on it. But I can say I've already been sold on just the combat of the game. I'm thoroughly enjoying it just for that, and I hope that the game does well enough to where Square-Enix and Tokyo RPG Factory look at the game and say, okay, it did well, let's expand on it. Let's see if we can make an even better homage to Chrono Trigger. We can take what's great about this game and just expand upon it. Make a more unique story, more characters that you feel that you grow with, just like Chrono. Learning, you know, a character that, you know, you learn about their history, much like Frog. You have an idea of what they're like. They start off as very two-dimensional, and then you see them for who they are. That sort of thing. I hope that even if this game doesn't deliver on that as much as I'm hoping it does, that this is just the start of that resurgence to that style of gameplay, because I really like this. I could, you know, it could be said that it's just the nostalgia talking, but I've enjoyed it. What little of it I've played. But I want to hear everyone else's thoughts. Have you played it? What have you thought of it? Have you gotten far enough? No spoilers. I don't want anyone to spoil it. But I want to know what people have thought about it. I want to know if you think that you've enjoyed playing it, or have you not heard of it, and this is the first time you've caught wind of this game. But like I said, I feel that it's well worth what I've spent. For those of you who know me and the channel, I've honestly been thinking about just starting up a blind Let's Play of this. Just starting it now, Let's Playing it, which you guys know the type of games that I throw out and how meticulous I am about researching and things like that, making sure I can provide as close to the full experience of a game as possible. That just starting up something that I would be going in completely blind with. That should tell you just how much this game has hooked me. So, but let me know your thoughts, your feelings on I'm Setsuna. Have you heard about it? Is this new? Are you interested in it? Are you over it? What? Let me know. Comment on the video and tell me your thoughts. And for those of you who have not gotten a chance to look into it, like I said, it is available on PS4 and Steam. Go check it out. Square-Enix, Tokyo RPG Factory. It looks like it could be... I already see so much potential. So, like I said, I don't want to ruin any of the story, so I'm going to stop here. But let me know your thoughts on the game. And I can't wait to see you in my next First Impressions video, whenever that may be. So till then, later everyone.